So stop, and I'm here now in your account. So you need to stop properly, and then I can make the transmission.
No, we're transmitting. I have. Okay, I can read. Yeah, we're fine. I can read it.
Oh, really?
But
Yeah.
you're not on Facebook.
Really?
It says live.
No? Oh yeah, it's back now.
Okay, so you want to send a message that I'm back, or they'll figure it out? I'm waiting for them to come back. I just lost like 15 people. So this is great. I didn't know that. Tell everybody to come back. Only one of them came back. Wouldn't they just see this come up on their Facebook page?
Yes, you will receive a notification every time that you are alive.
Krishna, and it takes like 20 minutes after I get on before they get it? Is that how it works? Well, let's see if this answers your question. It takes like 20 minutes after. Yeah, that's like 20 seconds after. Okay, we've got 3 of you back. 4. 3 or 4. This is from Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. Yeah, that's like 20 seconds after. Okay, we've got 3 of you back. That was faster than 20 seconds. The cardinal principle of Grihastha ashram is that no one may be the owner of any property or service of another. In other words, another means your spouse. You're not the owner of your spouse. You're not the owner of their property. Because you're not the owner of anything. Everyone is only a servant whose activities are ever in the service of the Lord. Similarly, the sole object of everyone's service, as the only master, only friend, only son, and only consort, is Krishna. Marrying and giving in marriage do not give rise to any rights of a master, either to husband or to wife. In other words, he's making the point, we're all servants, so I'm saying in marriage, we're also servants. And you ask why divorces, because we don't follow this. That's why. That's my answer. Men and women are joined in wedlock for the purpose of serving each other in the performance of the joint service of Krishna. The wife is not an object of enjoyment of the husband, nor vice versa. They do not marry for gratifying their sexual appetites. They marry for pleasing the Lord, not for pleasing themselves. They choose for their partners only such persons who serve God better than themselves. They offer themselves to be accepted by their partners for the favor of being allowed to share in their superior service of Hari. Neither the husband nor the wife should claim the services of his or her partner on their own account. So most men, when they get married, and women think, oh, I'll have this wife who'll serve me, I'll have this man who'll serve me. And now he's saying you should not enter marriage thinking that way, but you should enter marriage thinking, this is Krishna's property, my spouse, and I should serve them. Neither the husband nor the wife should claim the services of his or her partner on their own account. Both of them are only to offer their services if and when their partner is pleased to permit them to share their service of Hari. None of them can force their partners to serve them. This system of household discipline has its root in the joint worship of the household deity by all members of the household. Listen to this last paragraph. The reason why the Guru does not ordinarily ask any person to enter the state of wedlock is that it is very rare to find anyone in this world who is willing to regard his or her wife or his or her wife or husband as worthy of his or her unconditional services. I'll read that again. The reason why the Guru does not ordinarily ask any person to enter the state of wedlock is that it is very rare to find anyone who is willing to regard his or her wife or husband as worthy of his or her service. Unconditional services. This is, however, exactly the only relationship between husband and wife that alone can be sanctioned by the Guru. Because the Guru is not going to give his disciple to another person for that person to enjoy. He's only going to give it to help that person. So I think so when this doesn't happen, and everything else we discussed doesn't happen, this kind of underscores everything we discussed. When this doesn't happen, then you have problems, even though you're a devotee. And the broader implication is that even though you're a devotee doesn't mean that anything you're going to do is automatically going to come out right. You have to, whether you're a devotee or not, you have to do it right for it to come out right, isn't it? I mean, you're a devotee, but you do your math equations wrong, they come out wrong. So why would it be different with anything else? So that would be a misunderstanding to think, well, just because I'm a devotee, everything will come out good. Yes, if you're actually a devotee, and you're humble, and you're compassionate, and so on. But there's this conditioning of we want to enjoy and exploit, and that comes up very easily in marriage. Right? Yes?
Yes. Where can we find that?
This quote?
Yes.
You can find it on my phone. They give you my phone and you can send it to yourself. I found it on Facebook. It gets posted every once in a while. We'll have to send it to everybody. If you give Radha Priya your email address, then she'll send it. I'll send it to her and she can send it to you. Okay? Have a paper you can pass out?
Yes.
Huh. Such a beautiful quote.
Yes, it is.
And ultimately, what's he saying? You respect your partner. You respect your partner as property of Krishna. And treat them as such. That's Krishna consciousness. And everybody gets married thinking, I will enjoy, I will be happy. The reason you'll be happy when you get married is only if you become Krishna conscious. You might, marriage also fulfills a need, an important need, and that's another reason you'll be happy. But to think that person alone can make you happy will be a problem for you. Because ultimately no one can make you happy except Krishna. And if you make someone else happy, you become happy. And if you think you're going to be happy by someone making you happy and you not doing anything, it doesn't work. So marriage is good. It's a real challenge to be a better person, to be tolerant, to solve problems, and to try to love someone, which is not easy, is it? Yes?
As a spiritual master, so what is your advice to your unmarried disciples, especially for men?
Grow up. Especially to men. Be a man. Grow up. Be emotionally mature. That's for everyone. But for man, be a man. Understand what it means to be a man and be one. Because now in the world we're lacking men. Man means stability. Man means you're knowledgeable, you're stable, you're responsible, you understand your wife's needs and you're able to fulfill them. That's what it means. And if you can do that, you'll make a good husband. Willing to make sacrifices. But immature men, then they'll treat their wives like flight attendants. Give me this, give me that, give me this, give me that. And If they don't get what they want, they become angry. They don't respond well emotionally. That's not a man. You might say, well, women are more emotional. Okay, that's fine. But you're a man, so you have to be stable. If their emotions are up and down, you be stable. If your emotions are up and down, then how will you provide stability for them? If your wife does something wrong and you get angry, then you're not a man, you're an intolerant little kid. And you think, no, I have the right to get angry. No, but you're being intolerant, so you're not being a man, you're being a kid. So you can't be a husband and be a kid, you have to be a man. Which means, if your wife's upset, don't get upset at her. How can you be a man if you get upset? If your wife needs your support and you don't give it, how are you a man? You're just a kid. You know, sometimes we find that a woman will marry a man who's not emotionally mature, and then she becomes the mother instead of the wife. Because he can't keep his room clean, he can't do anything, forgets this, forgets that, spaces out on things. And so she's like the mother, and that doesn't create a healthy relationship.
So would it be, like, what is your thought on getting married, entering into Grihastha ashram or remaining brahmachari?
Well, it will depend on the individual. Well, you heard the class today, so it will help you better. You know, you have to do all these things. Maybe you'd like to get married, but you think, this is impossible, I can't do this. Then, you know, easier to be single than have a bad marriage. That's for sure. But marriage is there for helping you, and if you need it, my only suggestion would be just do it right. That's the problem. You don't do it right, and then you create a disaster for another person. You can create a disaster for your kids and so on. You have to be a husband and you have to be a father. So you have to learn. If you don't know how, you have to learn. You know, we don't come out of the womb knowing all these things. So we have to learn and take guidance. So my suggestion would be, as it would be for anything you want to do, learn how to do it before you, especially if it's going to affect other people. So you do it well. And if you don't think you can do it well, don't do it. That would be compassion to your potential wife. As far as spiritually speaking, whether you should be brahmachari, sannyasi, or grihastha, if you're brahmachari, you can dedicate your life to full-time service. If you can be detached and you don't have that need, then, and that's what you want to do, yeah. And you can actually do it and not regret that you did it when you're 50 and think, oh, I should have got married when I was 30, now I'm 50 and I want to get married. That's not good. And you could actually live that way. But if you think you can't and you can be a grihastha, then you can do that. You just, for anything, you just have to understand exactly what it is before you get into it. Most people get married, they had no idea what it was like. So the more you know, the easier you can adapt to it. And if you have doubts, then wait. You don't want to do it with doubts. And you don't want to get married just because you can't control yourself sexually. You know. So your wife says, well, why did you marry me? Was it my blue eyes? Was it the way I sang kirtan? Was it the way I dressed the deities? No, I just couldn't control my sex desire. Well, what kind of relationship is that? Actually, if I could control my sex desire, I wouldn't have married. So, you know, so she's just like, she feels like a machine for you because you were too weak to control yourself. So what does that mean? Once you control your sex desire, you're going to leave me? Yeah, probably. So, you know, that's not fair. But men do that. As Prabhupada said, if you can't control it, get married. But that's not the only way you enter marriage. And just use your wife to pacify your sexuality. Does that make sense? So here's a funny statement. Chanaka Pandit said, if you're thinking you should eat or you shouldn't eat, don't eat. If you're thinking you should travel, but you're not sure, don't travel. And if you're thinking you should get married, you're not sure, get married. Because a real brahmachari wouldn't be thinking about it. So as soon as someone says, should I get married? I said, you just answered the question. Because you wouldn't have answered that question if you didn't need to be married. So that's also something to consider. Like, why are you asking the question in the first place? I mean, there may be a legitimate reason, but generally, if one is a brahmachari, he generally knows it. By nature, I'm just not suited for that kind of life. I don't need it. I don't, when I see women, it's like I look at it and I say, it's nice, but not for me. I see kids, yeah, they're nice, but not for me. Then you wouldn't ask the question. Right?
Got a question like, for Prabhujis it's fine, but for some Matatis, like if they don't want to marry, they don't get the interest to get married.
Yes.
Is that
What about them?
proper or not?
Well, it's interesting that Prabhupada has written in the Chaitanya Charitamrita that every woman should get married, but in a letter he said if they want to remain single and be brahmacharinis and be taken care of by the temple or their family, they can do that. So he gave women that option. It's more rare. More men will become monks than women, but if they can do it and they want to do it, he said it's okay. Some can do it, not many, but if they can actually do it, if they can't, it's not so good for them because they may be unhappy when they're older or feel repressed But some can do it. And it was okay. Prabhupada allowed it. So we judge by the person, situation. They have these shows on convents, all the women live, and it's not easy. It's not easy to spend your whole life single for a woman. Not always. So you have to be certain you can do it and be happy. You weigh the pros and cons. And if you feel that Grihastha ashram is the way you'll make the most advancement, then you go for it. That's the deciding factor. It's not for sense gratification. So you decide what's the best ashram for you. Grihastha ashram is safe. Sometimes we joke, you can't fall from Grihastha ashram because you're already fallen. You're already on the ground, so there's nowhere to go. But not entirely true. Not entirely true. But there is a lot of wisdom behind it. It's safer. And we've seen many renunciates have difficulty because the need for the opposite sex was unfulfilled. And when you're married, you're with the opposite sex, so generally the need won't be there because you have it. So then you just don't think about it anymore because it's always there. You don't think about eating if your house is full of food, something like that. But the renunciates don't think about it anyway, so they don't need it. And some people say, men who get married need a woman behind them to feel more whole or more inspired. And men who don't get married don't need that. They don't need a woman to inspire them. They actually feel much better single, more comfortable. They value their independence and freedom. And being with a wife and family, they would feel would be restricted and difficult or impossible for them. Now that we have this open, oh my God, we could read everything I have.
Good Maharaj. Your lunch is ready.
My lunch is ready, but my belly's not ready. I have so much nectar on here. Interesting. Okay, anything else? Your lunch is ready, everyone. Are you hungry or no? I have something as it could answer your question, and this is very interesting. I think it was around 1972, a devotee had compiled everything to date that Prabhupada had said about marriage, mostly from letters. And there are very few devotees that were married in 1972 that are still married to the same person. So I was reflecting on this, that Prabhupada had given so much good advice in the letters and had requested the devotees not to divorce, and then you have this high rate of divorce. So it indicates a problem which exists in other areas of our life, that we just don't know how to do it. We don't have the skills to make it work. And because we didn't have the skills, it became difficult to live as grihastas. And so in many areas where Prabhupada is wanting us to do something, we have to learn how to do it. And so all those letters, you know, the husband is this, the wife is this, despite all the good advice, we needed more. Because we were very immature and unstable. So we needed grounding. We had to learn how to grow up to even to follow those instructions. So, you know, you may look at instructions and say, these are perfect instructions, but I'm like 5 steps below those instructions, and until I build those 5 steps, I can't even follow those instructions. And that's why they didn't work, you know. So you have to build the foundation, and then you can follow those instructions. So it's interesting. So many good instructions, so many divorces. Because, you know, us as hippies, irresponsible, and, you know, anyone who's had many boyfriends or girlfriends who then tries to get married and have one is going to have a challenge, because they're not used to it. They're used to having multiples, and having one is new. So, you know, you have, you know, so many boyfriends, so many girlfriends, and you get married. That's where we were coming from. And so it was a new paradigm. Being responsible with one person, having a kid, all of a sudden it's not fun. So those instructions, you know, stay with one wife, don't leave, be responsible. We needed to know how to do it, and what it meant to be responsible, what it meant to be a man, what it means to be a husband. Prabhupada assumed we would have learned all that from our parents, our grandparents, but many of us didn't. Many of us left home, 17, 18. Didn't listen to our parents anyway. Rejected that whole thing. And so, it's interesting, isn't it? And so, there are many, many other things that Prabhupada says we may not do well, or we may fail doing, because we don't have the foundation of maturity and strength of character to be able to do those things. So that's why a lot of devotees, not a lot, but some devotees have done other things to heal themselves or improve themselves, so then they can follow those instructions. You know, if they have some emotional issue, they'll heal it. And then they can be more present as a husband or a wife like that, or a father. So it's a big responsibility, because if you're going to get married and have kids, you have to be mature. Otherwise, you're going to have kids that are going to have trouble, or be trouble for others. So it's a big thing. It's not just, I get married because I can't control my sex desire. You know, that's not right. Okay? You want more? You had enough? You want prasadam, right? Okay, I think you're getting hungry, so we'll stop here. Hare Krishna to all of you. And I will, on my way to Poland tomorrow, get to sit on a little tube squashed in like a sardine. Get off in Copenhagen, Denmark, sit in the airport for 4 hours, get on another flight to Poland, hopefully get some rest on the way, and be in Poland. And Friday night I think we're doing a concert. And then we're doing a japa retreat for 3 days, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. But it was nice coming here because I got cold weather, so now I'm acclimatized. The weather's similar, I think, to Poland now. So it's my stopover, and it's nice to come here on my way, because then I just go to DC and fly, which is a few $100s cheaper than flying from Florida, and faster. So that's good. Hare Krishna. And if you haven't got my books or anything, you haven't.
Yeah, we have still a few books.
Yeah, we have a few left. Okay.
Okay, so these like
Hare
intense discussion.